Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It is Surya, and on today's video, we're gonna be doing something a little different, okay? We are going to be talking about before the 90 days, okay? Before the 90 days, spinoff of, 90 Day Fiance. It is my show, okay? So let's just sit here and talk a little bit about yesterday's episode, okay? So first, let's just get into it. I wrote all the couples down, so I'm just gonna go in order by the couples that I have, right? So we have Rick and we have Trisha, okay? We are well into the season. So if you guys are watching, you guys already know what's going on. Rick is 52, Trisha is 25, and I'm just like, I feel so bad for Trisha. I just want to be like, girl, you do not even understand this man is not serious about you. You are just a little travel trinket to him. Like, what is going on? So in this episode, we see that Rick is in Trisha's village. And now, Rick, I thought you worked out. Like, I thought, like, I know, you 52, but I thought you worked out. He went to go fetch the water in the morning, and they have it on like a stick with like two jugs at the end. And he seemed like he kind of was struggling a little bit, and I'm not trying to make fun of him, but I'm just like, I don't know, like that's just something that I noticed, and I was just like, wait a minute, Rick. So anyways, he goes, he fetches the water, and he takes it back to Trisha, and she's sitting there, she's hand washing the clothes, and she's like, see, and you thought I was bougie, but look at me, I'm just hand washing this stuff. I've never used a washing machine before. And he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, I might have to take that back when I called you bougie. And I'm just like, ew. I mean, you know what? I do know what she sees in him. He's big, he's, big chocolate, got curly hair, I see the appeal from Trisha's standpoint. Not from my standpoint, but from Trisha's standpoint, okay? And he's referring to when he called her bougie like a couple episodes ago when they were driving past the mall to go on their vacation. And she's like, oh, there's a mall. You need to buy me some bathing suits. I'm not buying you a bathing suit. I'm not a sugar daddy. You need to like me for me. Yeah, and you like her for her, not because she's 25 with big curly hair and a very voluptuous body with a little tiny waist. Yeah, sure. You was quick to buy her that little jungle costume, but yeah. Anyways, let's get back to this episode. So then, washing the clothes, and she's like, listen, my dad is going to want to talk to you later. Right? She's mentioned something about her dad's going to want to talk to him later, right? Because it's coming to the end of the season, so, everybody's getting ready to go home and all that stuff. They go to the market, they get like some bananas and some stuff for her family, bring it back, and then he goes and he meets, well, him and Trisha, because she's translating. They go and they meet with her dad and her uncle, right? And so there's a knife sitting there and like a bottle of something, and Rick is like, oh, well, what is this for? What's going on here? And the dad takes a knife and he opens the bottle. I think it was rum. Opens a bottle of rum, and I didn't see Trisha drink it, but the dad, the uncle, and Rick all take a shot. And Rick said, fine. Right. And then so the dad and the uncle are sitting there laughing. They're like, he drank it and he is happy, So they start talking, and I forgot what the initial question was, but it was like, oh, the trip's wrapping up, or how do you feel about Trisha? Something like that. And Rick was like, yeah, I love Trisha very much. And my love for her is just growing every day. And the dad and the uncle are like, yeah. We know that. Are you about to give us the grandbabies or no? Because if not, we will hold our daughter. We don't see Rick give them an answer. We're going to see that in the next episode, but we do see him hemming and hawing. But the thing what I love when I see interactions like this is that men always clock other men's tea. They always clock it. Like, she should have introduced Rick to her family before she went on this long escapade with him. Okay, because now her mind is all in a tizzy. She can't really see what's going on. She thinks that she can just convince this man to have a baby. When he's mentioned that he's 52, that he already has 6 kids and can barely afford the kids he has. He can't afford to have another baby. But so he's hemming and hawing, talking about how much he loves Trisha, and her dad and his uncle are like, okay, that's cute or whatever, but we need to know, are you down to have kids or not? Because if not, we will hold our daughter, as in she's off the market for you, which I think is good, because what Rick is giving is that he just wants to continue to play around with her. Next thing you know, Trisha look up, she 30, still in Madagascar, no babies. No. No. She Trish, if you're watching this video, there's, and this is, and I mean, maybe it's because they live in a different country, so they don't see it. I don't remember how her and Rick met, but sometimes it's like, sis, you can get a way better American man. Like, there's plenty of American men who want a foreign wife and will give you a baby. Girl, but you stuck on Rick. Okay? So we're going to see what's happening with them in the next episode. But honestly, like, I don't know if he will, but I think that Rick needs to let Trisha go. And then I think Trisha is going to have to let Rick go. Or maybe he will try to let her go and she won't let him. But we'll see. So next, let's talk about Forrest and Scheana. Okay. So Scheana is taking Forrest on, I think she said, I forgot the name of the city, but to one of the coastal cities. And by the way, y'all, the Philippines is beautiful. I feel like the food, the accommodations, just everything is just like beautiful. I'm going to visit and stay at Scheana's people's palace that they got over there. Their bed and breakfast. So she takes him there, and they just got engaged, and they decide that this is the night. Tonight is the night that Forrest makes Scheana a woman. If y'all know that song, you know. Drop. Let me know down in the comments if you know about that song. I used to listen to that song when I was little. Not little, but like when I was like a junior, senior in high school. Baby, tonight is the that you okay. Okay. And vice versa, because they lost their virginities to each other. Okay, so they make it do what it do, and Forrest is on the bed, got the condom. He just like, he's like, he don't know what to do with himself. We see them the next day. Okay, Forrest is like, listen, I'm gonna have to divorce my hand, because it was nothing I could have ever imagined. When he talked about how she got on top and his legs were just flooded, I was like, oh my God. I was like, no, he did not say that. But they're sitting there, they're giggling. Y'all know they're grown, but they're over here acting like little teenagers. But you know what? Good for them. I really do feel like they're genuinely in love with each other, So that happens. And then, he's talking, and he's basically saying that he's really happy that him and Scheana did that. And even though that they haven't done the paperwork yet and everything, he was like, Scheana is my wife. that is my wife. Okay. He was like, I feel like, child, we done came together as one. You know what I'm saying? Body to body. Okay. He's like, that is my wife. And I'm going to really miss my family, but I think I'm going to end up staying here in the Philippines. And we see that in the next episode, they're going to break the news to Molly, the meddling mama, about Forrest wanting to stay in the Philippines. But I mean, honestly, it makes sense because he said that he doesn't want to be without her and vice versa. And he's been in the States and it's okay. Not everybody does like thorough research. And I know he has his autism and everything like that. But, he was in the States racking up these disability checks thinking that it counted as income. And it doesn't. So they would have to wait like him. Well, he would have to get another job, be at that job for a year. And then it'd be like another 2 to 3 years, I guess, before she could come to the States or something like that. So they come to the conclusion, like, and Sheena's like, listen, well, I'm combining kind of the both episodes now, the previous episode and then this episode. Sheena's like, listen, babe, I got a good job. I'm a veterinarian out here. I'll take care of you. We'll help you get situated with a job, but let's just stay here, get married in the Philippines. And honestly, I think that's a good deal. I don't know how, like the process, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the process, but I feel like they said it would be really easy for them to get married in the Philippines. Boom. Get married in the Philippines, stay out there for a season or two of 90 Day the Fiance the Other Way. And then, for y'all's fourth season on the franchise, y'all do 90 Day Fiance and then y'all come to the States. Like, I feel like that's a great trend. I feel like that's like what we're setting up for. Because, some of the couples have been with the brand for years. So that's what I'm like seeing it go towards, right? But we know Molly, the meddling mama, is not going to take the news well. But I just love how Sheena's like, this was our choice. It's, it's our decision. So she got that fire. And now that, Forrest done got that. What did Molly say? You guys do the nookie. Isn't that what she said? Oh my gosh. So yeah, Forrest and Sheena. So moving on, let's talk about Lisa and Daniel. So we know that in the last episode, Lisa confessed. She confessed about the lying, the marriages, being with women, being married to a woman, still being currently married and not divorced. So they come to the conclusion, well, not they, but like the uncle and Daniel and whomever it is, that they need to go see the chief priest and she's gonna need a cleansing, right? And I find things like this very interesting because I love, I'm a follower of Christ. I love Jesus. And I just in general love learning about different cultures, different religions, different spiritualities. And I'm not an expert on African spirituality like voodoo, hoodoo, and things of those sorts. But I thought what they showed in this scene was super, super interesting. So they go to the first they got to go and they got to get a goat. And they have to get 2 yams because that's what the high priest and the ancestors have requested, right? And they go they go to the high priest. They got this goat with she got a little bow on, she's wrapped up. And they have the yams. And I really liked how Lisa looked in this scene. I thought that the colors that she had on looked really pretty on her. And they go and they sit down, and the high priest is, I think he's taking shots of gin and like spitting it out. He's throwing these shells around and he has a bell, doing all of the things. Which honestly, to me, like, it didn't seem like that spooky because I'm very strong in my spirit. Let me just say this so this video doesn't go a different way. So it didn't spook me out. But I can see how somebody who is not aware and maybe just spiritually open and just certain things like that, I can just see how that would be a really intimidating experience. Okay, like for real. Yeah. So he starts doing all the rituals, connecting with the ancestor. Who said, who got to be cleansed? She said, it's me. Daniel talks about what happened and why, what kind of cleansing that she needs. The high priest, he performs the ritual. They bring the goat in, she unties the goat, and she has to kiss these two statues and just do this whole ritual, stand up, hugs Daniel, and they say something, and the priest was like, okay, so it's done because you have agreed to it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm real like, anyways. So I was just sitting there and I was like, okay, girl, you agreed to everything in there, okay? Like, I just feel like agreement in the spiritual realm is nothing to play with. Okay. So anyways, hopefully she knew everything that she was agreeing to. Okay. Not just to be cleansed, but whatever else. So after that, and it was so funny because before they did like the ritual, this man had an offering place. You must give. He gave, and Lisa was like, "Give everything that I gave you in the wallet. Give it all. Give it all." They put the money in there, which was like, I also have my thoughts on that. I'm just like, why can't she just be cleansed? Like, why does she have to pay to be cleansed? Like, why can't she? Well, never mind. Different rituals, different religions. Okay. Anyways, so then, and I think it's interesting. Like I said, I need to know more about it, but it seems interesting how they seem to merge. Did anyone mention anything about Jesus and Nigeria? But it's interesting how they seem to almost merge like the Christianity with like different parts of the African spiritual. Like it's interesting, like the crossover. Like when they were leaving and he was like, go and go in your peace. Like, go in peace be with you. It reminded me, not the whole thing, but that particular part reminded me of Jesus and the woman at the well. Like, go on, girl. Go, you done been cleansed. You don't gotta have all these boyfriends no more. And I'm gonna make sure that the people in the town ain't talking about you. But go in peace, girl. Go in peace, child. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And so, anyways, they're happy. And Lisa's like, I'm just so happy. Daniel's happy. And Lisa's like, okay, so can we have sex now? And he's like, yeah, of course. Why not? They get in the car and they're kissing. And it just like, it was kind of weird. Lisa seemed really into it, but then Daniel also had his eyes open at one point. It just, yeah, I don't know. It just seemed a little weird. So that happens. And then for the next episode, we see them in the bed. And Lisa says, yeah, everything was great, but there's one thing you haven't fulfilled. And he's like, what is that? And she was like, okay. She's like, that's really important to me. And I was like, yeah. Especially if she done been with women all these past years. Yeah. And Daniel is like, no, see, she has been with her fellow woman. So she is used to this. But I am a man. I have my... And I'm just like, child, that's going to be interesting to see. But Daniel, ultimately, he seems to really love her and believe this prophecy that he was to get with this white lady from America. And so, yeah, I think that they'll get over that. But it was funny to hear him say that. Then next we have, and it was funny to hear her say, like, they're hilarious. I need them to be on 90 Day Fiance, okay? I need to see what happens with them. So then we have Stig and Aviva. Stig and Aviva, We see her taking a pregnancy test because she's like, we've been using protection, but there was also plenty of days where we didn't use protection. I was like, ugh, gasp. But she takes a pregnancy test and she is not pregnant, and she's a little bit sad. And she's like, I just felt like, would have sped up the process. And I don't want to say like she wanted to trap him, but I think she might be feeling a little anxious, or just, a little maybe unsure in the connection at that time. So she wanted to hurry up and have a baby with him and come see him again and kind of jump ahead of the process. But it's like, girl, you need to give that man space to do what he needs to do. So she wasn't pregnant, and I was like, good girl. Plenty, y'all have, like Stig said, y'all have plenty of time to get pregnant and have babies. So the next they go and they see the Mayan ruins, and I love this like blend of like West Indian culture and then this like Latin culture in Belize. I think it's really cool. I don't know much about it, but that's what I've picked up from what we've seen in the season. And he goes and he proposes to her at the Mayan ruins. She says yes. She's super excited, and they're both excited. And he was like, at first I was a little nervous because it hurt my feelings. In the beginning of the season when all the cheating allegations was going on, he was like, but I truly feel in my heart that she's the one, and we know that she's happy. And honestly, I wouldn't. She was like, I gotta tell Aunt Spring. But you know what? I like them. I wouldn't be mad at seeing them on 90 Day Fiance either. So next we have the last couple, actually, right? And if I missed somebody, because we didn't talk about Javon and, oh man, what's my girl's name? I can't remember her name. Yeah, but we didn't talk about Javon and his wife. So yeah, I think and we didn't talk about Birkin and Laura either. So yeah, Elise and Josh. Whew. Yeah, so Elise, and I feel for her, but man, when I say that girl, that girl's nervous system is so dysregulated. Like you can just feel it through the screen. She's anxious. She's just bracing. She's just holding on. She just can't let nothing go. She just. And then it was crazy because now, I do understand some of her concerns. I get it. But we're just talking about her for a second. But when she was in the Airbnb and she needed to use the bathroom, and she told Chris, the roommate, Josh's buddy, his best friend, oh, I need to use the bathroom. I haven't gone in 7 days. Ooh, and you. And my God, and you can't physically release either, girl. Like it's heavy. Like I can just feel the heaviness on her shoulders. And I get it. Like she's been hurt before. She's like in a rush and all this other stuff. But it's like, girl, it's written all over your face and your body and your energy. And yeah. So we see them and they're going to go for a boat ride. She gets ready. They go out on the boat. And I mean, she's just full of complaints at this point. It's like, you know what? You don't like the Airbnb situation with his friend, or that he's living with Natalie. At this point, just enjoy your time in Australia and go your separate ways when you get back to the States, But she's so just in this like anxious state, trying to just make sure that everything doesn't go wrong and just all these things like, so yeah. So what ends up happening, they go out on the boat and she just starts questioning him. Oh, well, that was a lot of money. Like, how did you get the damages? Oh, because he got his last warning at his job because he crashed one of the boats that he was driving. And she was like, well, how did you get the money for it? What happened? What was Natalie there? Just asking all these questions. And we know she's upset too. She's feeling some kind of way because she also knows that he lives with his best friend, Nat, and she pays all the bills and everything like that. Now, two things can be true at the same time. Is she extremely anxious and dysregulated and full of complaints? Heck yes. But at the same time, I do understand where she's coming from, because it's like, okay. And this is where I talk about being anxious and just gripping, because it's like, you want to get married and you want a husband, but instead of just focusing on that you're a wife and that your husband's out there, you're focused on Josh being that person. And the reason why I say that is because she's so upset about his financial situation, but you don't have to be with him, sis. Trust me, I would not be a fan of my boyfriend living with his girl best friend who's paying all the bills, and when you ask, the first thing that she said that she needed some emotional support. Girl, what? It's giving a shoulder to cry on becomes a to ride on. Okay, I'm just saying. And even if it's like say he might want to be with Elise, but I feel like there's something there with him in that. Like, I just don't believe that it's just friends. I mean, they could be just friends. Like, he really might not be interested in her like that. But to tell me that, they've never had a drunken night where one thing led to another, I don't know if I believe all that. So I feel like that might be a little bit of what she's picking up as well. Elise, but sometimes when you're just running off of adrenaline and all these other things, you're like, you can't quiet your mind and get that clarity that you really need, right? So anyways, after that, they don't enjoy their time on the boat because it's just her asking him all these questions. And eventually Josh is like, okay, well, why don't I call up Nat and then we can meet up later. I think Ray was the same day. We can meet up later and we can just squash all this. They meet up later. Nothing gets squashed, right? So they start talking, and I mean, Elise just gets right into it. She's like, so I just want to know, like, when he leaves here, he's going to go back to living with you. And they're both like, yeah. And she's just automatically just getting upset. She's like, well, I feel like there's an emotional hold here because why would you be living with her? She's paying all the bills. And I just think that's weird. And just starts going in. I mean, nobody can speak. Nobody can speak. And Elise doesn't realize this now because just because she's in the state and the mindset that she's in, but it's like, baby girl, when you're calm and you chill out, you get way more answers and way more clarity. But right now, all you're doing is creating more noise around the situation. And then she goes and then she's like, I think that's weird. And I'm going to go and ask everybody at the bar. And she gets up. How would you feel if your man was living with one of his friends? She was paying all the bills and da 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 da. And then, of course, there's like one girl. She's like, that is weird. And guess what? It can be, sis. I wouldn't like it either. But I still think that she's going about it the wrong way. He's not the one for you. Move on. But you doing all this stuff, all you're doing is raising your cortisol and your blood pressure. And I dang sure don't. I think he's going to end it after this. Because it's like she's already neutered him a couple of times on this trip. But now you're doing this, acting crazy. He doesn't know what to expect from you. Now his nervous system is all in this. He don't know what to expect from you. You've disrespected him. You've embarrassed him. So Elise gets up and she walks out. And then Nat walks out first, excuse me. Nat walks out. And then he goes to check on Nat. He's like, Nat, you all right? Gives her a little hug. And I'm like, not that there's anything wrong with him checking on his friend, but also, that's all. And so She was like, and then we see Elise, yeah, y'all are together because that's the first thing you're gonna do is go check on her. But, and I mean, she is crashing out. Crashing out. And I think the good thing about this is that maybe she will learn and she will change her energy and her behavior, right? But I don't know if they're going to be able to make it last past that, because that was so embarrassing, so cringy, so disrespectful, just so, okay? So yeah, and I'm not saying that she's not wrong to feel how she feels, but the way she went about it, the way she's been going about things, it's too, like, it's like, girl, chill out, okay? But I think I covered everything, y'all. That was before the 90 days. Tell me what y'all think. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.